got to make sure that we have the people there to support it on an ongoing basis. It's one thing to create a relationship with somebody and tell them that you're going to do certain things. It's another thing to be able to follow through with it. That's been a challenge for us because of the tremendous growth that we've had. We've been very, very lucky as far as in that regard.
So the quarterly newsletter that Mary and I get, you're going to have to expand the page in which the pictures are on?
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know what it is now, but it's roughly 20. We're going to roughly 25. So, yeah, there's going to have to be smaller photos, I think, or I don't know. The smart people take care of that at the office. But, yeah, it's terrific. And we had the quality of the help that the people that we're interviewing has been off the charts. We just got really, really good, talented people. And ironically, they're not all from Clinton. Two of the individuals, one lives in Morrison, one lives in Maquoketa, and I'm trying to remember the other, I think is from Clinton. So we'll have people coming from multiple directions. So we're excited about that. And again, the Davenport office continues to grow, and we have good support down there. We've got one of the folks from town here that's now working down there on a daily basis. So yeah, things are good as far as in that regard, and markets have cooperated. So life's pretty good.
You know, two different markets. I mean, Clinton and Davenport. Do you do the same level of giving down at Davenport, David?
Not yet. Just simply because the head count, we pretty much try our best to match as far as where basically the gifts are coming from, whether it be financial. Last night we had multiple people bring in cash. Mm-hmm. We had multiple people bring in checks. So we try to basically send that stuff as far as to where it came from, back to that particular area. Fulton's a good example. Fulton, the food bank over there, I think they get roughly a third of what we collect. We've got a lot of people from Fulton. We've got a lot of people from Morrison as far as that are clients and the surrounding area. Mount Carroll, unbelievable number as far as that we have as far as from up there. So the Fulton Food Bank supports a lot of that, and so we support them each and every year. And actually last night it was kind of interesting having multiple people that work there. They're volunteers as far as that were there last night, and trying to coordinate plans as far as for delivering the goodies as far as to them. So yeah, I think, through time it'll grow because the operation down there, I mean, we used to have a little storefront. Now we've got a pretty substantial office building and head count and whatever down there. And because of that, we now have a lot more clients as far as down there, and so the ongoing will continue to grow down there. We've got a little party planned down there. This will be the first Christmas party that we've done in the Quad Cities. So this will be that's in, I don't know, I think it's next week. Just a lot of gatherings.
Somebody will tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody will let you know.
I'll show up. Yes, yes.
I could see where you would be. Have that presence in Fulton, Morrison, and you mentioned Mount Carroll, because you kind of got your start over there in Fulton with your father-in-law.
We did, exactly. And subsequently, Freeport is another town that we have a lot of people in. In the early days, my father-in-law had a whole bunch of clients and whatever, and he got a cluster as far as up in the Freeport area, and so that one grew from maybe 20 at that point in time to probably now 40 or 50 as far as that area. So yeah, it's a nice presence over there. And again, for those that don't know, we worked out of his basement for a year or two. Then we moved out to the old Sigma furniture. So those that have a few years on them, like me, remember that particular location. We were the first one in that what would be called a mall, and we spent a year or two there. Then we moved downtown. Now I think it's a chiropractor that's in that office. If I'm not mistaken, it was across from the Fulton Bakery back then. And we were there 3-4 years. Then we moved to the north end of Clinton and had our own building that we owned. That was the first one, kind of up by the funeral home and Corvins, I guess I would say, kind of half a block away. And then where we're located now, and we've been there since, probably about 25 years, I think, give or take. So
I think it's on the building.
Yeah, it is. It is. You think I could remember it?
Yeah,
I can't.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You walk by it.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's almost generational now. You guys been doing this. I mean, you're getting the children of people you started out with.
Very much so. It's fascinating as far as from that standpoint, as far as just the, talking to the next generation, as far as and then they reference mom and dad, and I've got one that comes to mind as far as these people, and it isn't local. This one started. This individual tracked me down. He did a scan back when you had the old floppy disks, and it was a program through Microsoft that basically had all the data as far as financial people around the country. And they did a scan as far as what they're looking for, what they thought they needed. They came up with a person in Florida and myself were the only two. So they floated through town, gave me all their stuff, said we'll be back in 6 months. They're doing a hiatus as far as from work. He was in the construction business. And anyway, turned into a great relationship, still working with them. They now live in Utah. They lived in their mobile home, I guess I got to get the right term, and travel around the country and just set up shop. And just a fascinating couple as far as I don't think I could do what they did, but they love hiking, they love the outdoors, and they're now both in their 80s and still continue. I mean, you look at this guy, he's just cut and, just looks great. She looks great. But anyway, their kids are now scattered all over the country, and we're working with them. And it's just been interesting and listening to them tell stories about mom and dad years ago when I didn't know them. So, yeah, good stuff. And again, if you take care of people, again, they chat. So, and we'll tell their friends, family, and subsequently, you create new relationships.
Before we break for the weather, just listening to you talk about that couple and their children, you probably have so many great stories of people that you work with who have been so successful.
Yes, and the one that comes to mind right now, and most recent, and this came again via a referral, is a billionaire that lives out in Wyoming. He's got a place in Wyoming, California, and then one in Iowa. And but again, we took care of people that he knew quite well. 4, 5, 6 people. I'm going to say it's probably 6 as far as the head count. I'll do it kind of quick here, but the bottom line is, took care of them. Now this guy picks up the phone one day and calls and says, I'd like to talk to you about my stuff. And I almost passed out. I thought it was, some scam artist or whatever.
My stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But all my stuff is money.
Yes, exactly.
Amazing.
And I don't need all this services. I just need this one thing here, more or less handle some of the investments. And that's turned into, I thought I didn't think I needed help here, but I do, and then somewhere else. So yeah, we've got a great team down there, really smart people, and it's showing up as far as in that relationship.
All right. After the weather, we'll talk about 2025 and maybe
Perfect.
look ahead to 26.
Perfect.
All right. Our weather update brought to you by Morrison Community Hospital.
Slightly warmer temperatures, but still a very cloudy day on tap for your Wednesday. We're actually going to see temperatures near the freezing mark by this afternoon, and a few flurries will be possible as well. Skies quickly clear tonight, though, and with a northwest breeze, we're going to fall to about 3 below zero with wind chills of 15 below. With your Storm Track 8 weather impact forecast, I'm meteorologist Andrew Stutsky.
Right now, overcast skies, 31 degrees with those southwest winds. Our update brought to you by Morrison Community Hospital. Your friends at Morrison Community Hospital wish you a happy and safe holiday season. Please search their website, morrisonhospital.com, for new providers and services and a big announcement coming in 2026. They also want to remind you that the Family Care Clinic and the Specialty Clinic will be closing at noon Wednesday, December 24th, and they will remain closed on Thursday, December 25th. The clinic will also close at 3 on Wednesday, December 31st, and will be closed on New Year's Day. Emergency services will still be available. Happy holidays from Morrison Community Hospital. First Wednesday of the month, so we get to continue to the bottom of the hour with Dave Nelson. Well, we're wrapping up 2025 overview of the year.
Yeah, I mean, if you step back and just you fell asleep for the year, and you look at the net worth statement today, as far as if you were invested in stocks, the index, which is a fancy way of saying the S&P 500, is probably the best proxy as far as to look. You're up 15% ish, give or take, and so it's been a really, really good year from that standpoint. You look at other areas, and hey, I like to buy, let's say a person is very much into like value stocks and things of that nature, and value stocks kind of a broad term for stocks that have been roughed up. Let's say, they were more expensive a year or two ago, and now people tried to do a little bottom fishing and trying to pick up some bargains. as a whole, that group has underperformed the 15% by quite a bit. They haven't performed that well. On the other hand, if you look at the winners the last several years, which primarily focus in technology, you keep thinking that, at some point here that's going to underperform. Well, in 2025, it hasn't. It outperformed the market as a whole, not by the margins like it has the last several years, but it's been a pretty good year. So all the big name technology type companies as a whole had a pretty good year. Bond market kind of strangely had a pretty good year as well. If you had what's called the ag bond, which is a fancy way of saying, again, if you had long-term bonds and kind of an intermediate bonds and you had short-term bonds in this cluster and you bought into that, there's an index that basically will allow you to do that. That's up 6-7% as far as year to date. So again, a pretty darn good year when you consider that you're talking about bonds. The big winner basically centered around, and I got to be careful on how I word this, but is this thing that people look to as far as as a safety net, as far as something that you make rings out of. That particular area of the market absolutely exploded for the year. That's up north of 20% as far as for the year, and many people believe there's still more to come. So it's been kind of interesting again from the standpoint of international has also had a okay year. Depending on, again, what type of international we're talking about. Emerging markets, if you were in more a concentrated portfolio, say Africa, you're up 50%, literally. If you had Europe, you're up probably in the neighborhood of 20% as far as year to date. If you're in a more diversified mix, obviously you blend some of that stuff together, you're anywhere from probably 15% to 25%. So it's been a pretty interesting year. We are, obviously always looking out as far as for trying to protect capital. We want to grow it, but we also don't want to lose it. And so the bottom line is we've been a little nervous the last 30, 40 days, and things seem to be clearing out a little bit as far as from that standpoint. A couple of the models that we look at are more favorable today, let's say, than they were 45 days ago. So I wouldn't get crazy, folks, as far as out there, but generally speaking, right now there's a fair amount of things that seem to be okay. Inflation was a big scare for a while, continues to be kind of one of those things that could happen, but doesn't look like in the short term it's going to happen. Recession has been thrown out there a lot. Again, depending on the definition, a year and a half ago, many people believe we had a mini recession, but again, we've recovered pretty nicely as far as from that. So don't do anything crazy, but things, generally speaking, look okay today.
It's always interested me that, people can talk about how well the market is doing, but the economy is not doing that well.
Yes.
And you would think the two would mesh.
Yes. And what the markets have a tendency to do is they're basically trying to anticipate what's going to happen. Not what currently is happening, but what's going to happen. And the timeline that most people throw out there, and I think that's changed. From the beginning of my career, that was 6 to 9 months. I think it's more like years now that people are looking out. I mean, when you look at the investments that are being made in AI, if people don't know what that is, it's artificial intelligence. It's this stuff that scares many people and the stuff that excites some individuals out there. But the money that's being spent as far as by these big technology companies in that arena, basically, to date, they haven't really seen any return to speak of. And so the question is, are they going to see as far as a return on that? And so now, is this going to be a massive bubble like we had in the year 2000 with the internet, as far as back in the day? If we can go back that many years, if you look at 07, 08, 09, we had another bubble as far as that took place there. Many companies that basically existed back then don't exist today. That's kind of interesting when we look at, I saw a piece the other day as far as, and it went back to I think the 60s, and the largest airlines. Pan American, and then I forget. There's two of the jumbos. They don't even exist today. So it is a rapidly changing world. And at the end of the day, again, when we look at it, we're saying with some thought put into it, you need to diversify, but just throwing your money randomly into all these different places probably doesn't make sense. What we try to do is to focus on stuff that has the best probability of making people money. The example is, again, this year, and I know I talk about this a lot, but by shrinking the losses, you can actually increase the gains pretty dramatically. And when we look at this year, I mentioned as far as the market, what it has done year to date, we've actually beat that by a pretty significant margin. So we're thrilled about that, hoping that we can do that again next year. But all of that came from avoiding the big hit early in the year. We were able to step to the sidelines. And I want to be careful on the term again. We didn't avoid all of it. We avoided a lot of the damage. And subsequently today, we're standing at really, really nice returns year to date. And we didn't have to take as much risk as the market would have demanded if a person just put it in, fell asleep, and hoped that things worked out. So yeah, it's fascinating. I think AI is probably, looking at 2026 is going to be one of the big question marks. Do you have the guts as far as today? Hey, I have a few extra bucks I want to do something with, and somebody told me that this AI investment arena should be a good place to put some money. I don't know if that's the case or not. I don't know if the big opportunity has been missed. And oftentimes when you have a run up like we've seen as far as in that space, you're going to have winners and you're going to have losers. And there's going to be many losers that will not be in business, say 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. And you want to avoid those. So again, it's probably something that you want to, again, take a peek at some of the stuff that hasn't done as well, I guess, is the long and short of it. And AI certainly has been one of the big winners.
Don't want to throw you a curveball, but something that just
go for it.
Occurs to me. Mergers and buyouts.
Yes.
How much does that play into a market decision?
Yeah, it does, because again, you have the big companies that have been gobbling up. Once you get to a certain size, it's tough to keep growing even close to that same pace. So what companies oftentimes will do is they'll try to find the next company that's like themselves, that's in the early stages, and they go gobble them up and pay an enormous premium. So we've seen a couple of them just in the last probably month. And you're looking at 30 and 40% premiums that these companies oftentimes are selling for, sometimes even greater than that. So, again, a fancy way of saying the stock's trading at $10 and we're going to pay you $13 and we're going to take the whole company from you. We want to buy it out, or we're going to pay you $16 or whatever the case may be. And so when they do that, again, the hope and the expectation is that they're going to see some of that growth. IBM is a good example. And again, I'm not recommending any of these. I got to qualify that, so I've got to be real careful. But they basically went out several years ago. And again, go back 30 years ago, they were the big horse out there. I mean, IBM was kind of the envy of the world as far as, they were one of the early type tech companies. And they've done nothing up until probably about 5 years ago when they made this huge buyout of one of these up-and-comer stocks. And that just made this company now viable again. And otherwise, they just weren't going to be really anything significant. So you see it with the big horses today, the big technology companies today. They're gobbling up stuff right and left. It used to be you had a whole bunch of companies when they got to a certain size would come public. They would want to come public. Today, many of them are staying private, and then they're being gobbled up by some of the big companies out there. So, and again, to sustain some of the growth levels that many of these companies are wanting to do, that's the only way that they're going to be able to pull it off.
The world of business, it's got to be interesting sitting in some of those board meetings with some of these companies. Oh, my goodness.
Heaven, yes. And I mean, again, the fascination as far as some of the conversations, what are we contemplating doing as far as how do we see ourselves growing? Do we hire more people? AI, the big scare with AI is that everybody's going to get fired and we're going to have AI basically do pretty much everything going forward. There's going to be some businesses that's the case, but there's going to be many that the AI is actually going to enhance that and speed up the level of growth. So exciting stuff.
I guess so. Now we got 5 Wednesdays in December. Okay. So we're not going to visit with you again until January the 7th.
Okay.
So happy holidays to you and your family.
You too.
Again, thanks so much for all you do for the community. And so you got a bigger party again tonight.
400 heads that'll be there, and people that again very very we're looking forward to it. Very generous people will be showing up, and we'll be delivering more goodies as far as to some of the charities locally here.
And you know every one of them by name.
I wish.
David, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
You too, Gary. Thank you.
Financial Focus is a production of NelsonCorp Wealth Management in Clinton and Davenport. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Any indices mentioned are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. Registered representative, securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisor representative, Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and NelsonCorp Wealth Management are not affiliated. Cambridge does not offer tax advice. For more information, visit our website at www.nelsoncorp.com.
Hi, it's Bill Quinn, and every weekend I'm extremely happy to bring you the Bill Quinn Radio Hour ×2. The show is filled with music from the